was one day I was listening to my senior godbrother. He was the temple president. He was giving a Srimad Bhagavatam class, and my mind started to be very offensive. And I was thinking, that's no problem. I could do just as good. Thinking that I could give a class just as well. Next morning, after Mangaladi, he made an announcement. He said, Bhakta Dave is going to give the Bhagavad Gita class. And I was shocked. Did he actually read my mind? And I went up to him, I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. True story. I said, you know, I'm only a bhakta. You give the class to someone else. I mean, I'm not ready for this. And he said to me, no, it's all right. You can give the class tonight. I said, but what shall I say? He said, well, you just speak what you've heard. That's all. And in those days, if the temple president said you had to do something, you had to do it. This is another difference between them. The fact that you're laughing, it means it's true. Right. So that evening, we didn't know Jayarada Madhava because we hadn't been taught that song yet. So we would chant the Hare Krishna mantra before the lecture. And I exhausted the Hare Krishna mantra as long as I could. When it came to giving, well, the Sanskrit, you know, I stumbled over the Sanskrit. I couldn't chant Sanskrit. I still can't chant Sanskrit. I couldn't even read the English. I had taken so many drugs. I became illiterate. When I joined, I was illiterate. So I even stumbled over the English. And when it came to giving the class, well, this is what I said. Well, actually, we're not this body, we're spirit souls. Does anyone have any questions? No one had any questions. And my face went red. It was just complete silence. And I looked up and I could see this false ego coming from this head of mine rise and enter into the ether. And I vowed there and then that I would never ever again look at one of my seniors and think I was better than them. So this is an example of how you can get really offensive in the mind. The mind has to be controlled. I know it's all very funny, but it's actually very true and it's very serious. Be careful with the mind. It can destroy you. Any questions?
Can you repeat the definition of how does one differentiate between the mind, the first voice and the second voice? I didn't get it.
Okay. The mind cannot be the first voice in the beginning. It's only the second voice. So you're chanting your japa, right? That is the first voice. You're the first person. You, the Atma, the soul. So you're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. The second voice. What's your name?
Neela.
Neela? Neela? I know you're chanting your japa, but what are you going to do today? You remember when you were downtown and you saw that dress? It would look good on you. This is the second voice, okay? And you're trying to, cool, hey, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So the mind is tempting you again. And the interesting thing about the mind is that although it's like an epic, although it puts great importance with the thing it's just said, suddenly it switches from something completely different and says, Neela. Is that your name, Neela? Neela. Actually, you need your hair done. You were reading that magazine and you saw that picture of that girl. Yeah, you should definitely do that. Anyway, this is the second mind. This is a second voice. Now, when the second voice becomes the first voice, Neela's chanting with japa and she's thinking, yes, I will buy that dress. Hare Krishna, and I will enjoy Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You understand? So it becomes from the second voice, it becomes the first voice, and you actually go and do what the mind suggests, and the mind is one over you. Understand that?
Yes, thank you.
Maharaj, can you give us some ideas how to control the mind from your experience of so many years?
Well, Prabhupada said, don't listen to the mind. He didn't say very much, but he said that. He said just ignore. Just ignore what the mind is saying. But of course, in order to do that, you have to be able to first differentiate whether it's you saying it or the mind saying it. You have to have that ability. Actually, it's not so difficult because the mind is your worst enemy. Whatever it's dictating you is not really beneficial usually for your Krishna consciousness. It's a little bit different if you just come back from Mayapur or Vrindavan and your mind is speaking of Mayapur and Vrindavan. Then it has become your best friend. No problem. But, Krishna's, what is that verse where he says that you have to practice detachment and practice and determination. It's not going to happen immediately, but when Krishna sees our sincerity in practice and our determination in that practice, then he will help. He will help he will help the mind to be peaceful. And when the mind is controlled, Krishna says, the super soul is reached. There's another wonderful verse. When the mind is controlled, the super soul is reached. And that means that the super soul takes personal interest in someone who's made that effort to be sincere and somewhat control their mind. Suddenly the service that was previously very difficult becomes suddenly very easy. Because the Lord is helping you.
Thank you. That was a wonderful class, Maharaj. Could you speak about the importance of strong friendships in our spiritual life with like-minded seekers to help us control the mind and keep us focused on our Krishna consciousness? Maybe the people at the back might not have heard the question. I didn't want to shout.
So your question is?
The importance of strong, real friendships in Krishna consciousness in helping us control the mind.
The importance of friendships within Krishna consciousness in order to keep the mind peaceful. Yes. A lot of times we're so busy with projects that we don't see each other, we don't acknowledge each other. The project becomes the most important thing. I think it was more like that in well, I don't know, but our objective should be that the devotees around us should be as equally important as the project that we're trying to accomplish. Even if we could even say even more important. Because when we have good relationships, we will be able to achieve our goals that much more easily. So how to do that? Well, GBC came up with a good idea one year, and maybe you were there, Maharaj, but I heard this story that GBC decided to, one year to, how to say it, to
associate with each other?
To unite more closely. And that's,
They talked about we talked about reading together.
huh?
Talked about reading together. Is that right?
No. Each member had to write their name down on a piece of paper and fold it and put it in a hat. And then the hat went around to everyone, and everyone took one paper and saw which name it was. And that person whose name you have, then you should give gifts to them for about 1 week. And you shouldn't give gifts so that they know you're giving the gift.
I must have been ill that year. I was at UPC for 32 years. I probably wasn't there.
Okay. Anyway, they had a good time giving each other giving each other gifts. So just that action of giving especially without the person knowing that you have given something, it's quite deep when you think of it. It's deep in the sense that you're the giver and another person is the receiver. So it enhances relationships amongst devotees. One of the reasons why we became devotees, because we saw that the relationships within Krishna consciousness are much more deeper than those outside. Because they're very frivolous, generally, relationships. And they're only there to highly motivated because you want something, perhaps, not all in all cases, but in the material world, when we're materialistic consciousness, that's one of the reasons why we have friends. But within Krishna consciousness, we should have a genuine relationship with each other. There should be genuine relationships, and that has to be developed. So it's something that's being discussed within our society more and more. Devotee care, devotee relationships, how to come together and work together cooperatively. and have a united society. So it's important.
Maharaj, I've heard in a couple of lectures where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj would have said that every morning we need to beat the mind with our chappals 100
Shoes.
times, with the shoes 100 times, and in the evening with the broomsticks 100 times. What does that mean? How do we do that?
Yeah, I always used to wonder, because I really saw devotees chanting japa and hitting themselves. I never saw one devotee doing it. But I read one article by Bhaktisiddhanta who then explained what he meant by it. Let me just try to remember what he said. Oh yeah. Yeah. In the article he was explaining that what he meant by beating the mind was to negotiate. Negotiate. Well, let me do a little bit of acting here. I've got to do it. British, that's just how we are. We've got to do some. So here's a little bit. So just say mind. Mind, come here. Mind, will you come here now? Yes, Maharaj, what do you want? Sit down. Sit down. Right, I got something to tell you. I'm not going to serve you in this lifetime. I've been serving you in every lifetime that I can even remember. But what have you done for me? Nothing. I thought we were the same, but actually we're different. You're made of matter, I'm made of spirit. Therefore, in this lifetime, I'm not going to serve you, I'm serving Krishna. Now go away. Go on. Hot, hot, hot. See, in India, you say hot, hot to a dog.
What's his head doing?
Oh, he's serious. You say, yes, you come back after 30 years and we can renegotiate here. So after 30 years, you call him, mind, come here. Yes, no. Well, sit down. How do you feel? Well, I feel wonderful. I feel so peaceful. You know, you were right. I was gentleman. I was all over the place. Now I don't go anywhere. Well, there's one place I do go. Sometimes just to exercise my ability to travel, I go to Mayapur and Vrindavan. Maharaj, I want to be your friend. Please. I want to take off the shorts and put on a dhoti and kurta. I want my own beads. I want to be your friend. This will happen to you. This will happen. You must just give it time. But initially you've got to say to the mind, get out of here. Of course the mind cannot go away because you're connected. But just that determination you have to tell the mind, this is my intent. This is what I want to do. And I don't care what you say or what you think. So this is negotiating, making it clear. That's what he's said turning this on. Okay, oh, yeah. So, when do we know?
That we should listen to the mind.
Oh, we should listen to the mind.
When do we know? Like, how will you know? Like, when
You're
to listen
listening
to the mind?
When is it safe to listen to? I guess that's what she's
Like, how you know that he's our friend at the time? You can say.
Oh, okay. Well, Rupa Goswami gives the guidelines that we accept things which are favorable for Krishna consciousness and we reject those that are unfavorable. So if the mind is within that category of understanding, then you know the mind is your friend. So when you know the favorable things and you know what are unfavorable. This is a way in which you can when the mind is favorable, it wants to be your friend and wants to assist you. It will actually not even let you fall into Maya. As much as now, it will be easy for the mind to say, fall into Maya. Go on, go out that door, there's a wonderful opportunity for you. Go now. And we may run for that. Because we're not controlled. But once we're controlled, we may think one day, I've been a devotee now 45 years. You know, I wonder what it was, I can't remember what it was like to be doing this or doing that. You may just suddenly come up with this idea. And immediately the mind will say, no, we're not doing that anymore. It will not let you fall down because it's your friend. So as much as it's easy to fall down now, perhaps for you, because you're a young devotee, in later years it will be the reverse. Even if you want to fall down, of course if you really, really want to fall down, you will fall down. Obviously. But if you just frivolously one day thinking of falling down somewhere, then the mind will come in and say, well, you know, we've done all that before. Let's chant. I like this chanting, don't you? And you sit down and chant. This is some understanding that I have. Is that okay? She's got another one.
What if you're a kid and can it be possible, even though you haven't been a devotee for 45 years, to control your mind?
She's saying you've been a devotee for 45 years, so you've had a lot of experience. Right? I'm just a little girl, and what can I do? Right? How old are you? 11. Well, you know, one thing about children is that they are themselves pure innocence. It's only when you get a little older that you lose all your innocence. I work with children a lot, and I love working with our children because they're absolute pure innocence. And it's just so nice to be around them. So you, at the moment, you don't have so much of a problem with your mind. I can see that. Look at that big smile you have. You turn the whole world into Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said for our children they should practice Krishna consciousness in a fun way. Don't try to imitate us adults. Because we're more experienced. But you should just do the practices that you can do and just be happy about them. Don't get too mental about it. Just be happy and have fun in Krishna consciousness. You know, one thing also that Prabhupada said that our children are Vaikuntha children, which means that they're not ordinary children. They're not like the non-devotee children. They're coming from somewhere special. When devotees asked Prabhupada how they should conceive children within Krishna consciousness, he said, yes, you must first chant 50 rounds and then have conception. And one devotee asked Prabhupada, but how can you possibly have conception with your spouse after chanting 50 rounds? And Prabhupada said, yeah, that's the point. And ultimately you give up all these things. But he said the idea of chanting the 50 rounds is that you'll attract a special soul within the womb of the mother. And I can see that within our society that our children are so special. They're coming from somewhere else. I wonder who you were in your last life. Are you a manifestation of Lakshmi Devi? An expansion? But you don't need to worry about anything at the moment. You're already pure. Just stay with your parents, do as they say, try to encourage the other children in the practices, and everything should be fine. Okay?
Thank you.